Hi there, Colleen Adrian here, and I want to talk with you today a little bit about what happens in somatic therapy and what happens to old habits. Most of the time, that people who come to do somatic therapy with me or with others are looking to change unwanted habits. And I often hear people talking about, releasing old patterns or releasing old unwanted habits. And I just want to explain a little bit about what happens in somatic therapy. And the reason that I feel like releasing doesn't accurately describe what actually happens. And it may be unimportant to some folks, and of course that's fine. But to me, the language is important because it's really a reflection to me of how we treat ourselves and whether we're treating ourselves with esteem, as in having esteem of ourself or self-esteem, or whether we're judging ourselves and treating ourselves with some judgment or some disdain. So, just to be clear, this isn't me saying that the words you might be using are right or wrong. This is just an invitation to consider what I'm saying here and how the word that you use makes you feel. So, for me, releasing has a feeling of there being a part of us that's unwanted, or that we don't want anymore, or that we're judging, and it needs to be gotten rid of. Okay, and I understand that. I get it, right? I've had that feeling before of wanting to get rid of an unwanted habit, especially if it's something that I don't feel very good about, or maybe I don't even want other people to know about. Maybe it's I feel like I'm judging someone or something, and I feel like I shouldn't, or maybe I'm jealous, or maybe I'm feeling ashamed of something that I've said or done. So I've had that feeling before, and again, this isn't a right or wrong, but I just want to explain a little bit about the words that I think more accurately describe what happens when we do somatic therapy. So in somatic therapy, we explore a habit, and that includes unwanted habits or patterns more deeply. Okay, so that may include noticing the body sensations that we have when we're having an impulse to do those habits. It might include exploring impulses or thoughts or fears that arise when we're having that impulse. So that's the kind of exploration that we do. We look at, what else might be present in the body that's accompanying that pattern so that we can get to know it better. And the reason for that is because at the time that the pattern was created or laid down in our nervous system, I'll say, in your nervous system wiring, that is, um, your nervous system and your thoughts and your beliefs and your muscle memory, all of those things respond to the situation in a way that helps you to survive in that moment. So it's purposeful, and there's been a good reason for it, right? And those patterns are now an automated part of your nervous system, right? So they happen automatically. And that's why when you react, whether you yell at your child or your partner, or you do something else that, happens really spontaneously that you don't feel like you had enough time to make a conscious decision about, that's why those things happen so quickly and so automatically, because they're in that automated part of our nervous system, that um, memory, right? When we explore them more deeply with a view to reworking the pattern or updating the memory imprint, what we're doing is increasing your awareness, which gives you more capacity or access to having or making a conscious choice about your behavior. In other words, you start to, over time, notice before you do the habit, and you have more capacity to make a conscious decision instead of just feeling automatically pulled and reacting before you even realize what you've done. So, because of that, you also become more of your authentic self because you haven't, banished those parts of yourself that were doing that habit. You've gotten to know them better, and you've you've come to have a different relationship with them actually. And that's the reason that you can become more of your authentic self. And you also yeah, it's more of an integrated feeling. That's what I'm trying to say. So some people might call that releasing, and again, it's not wrong, but to me, it's more of a reworking the pattern and an updating of the memory imprint in the nervous system that enables us to keep those parts of ourselves that we split off from because we were ashamed of them or we were judging them. But have a different relationship with them so that we are operating in a healthier manner or using the yeah, using the information and the impulses in a healthier way. So I hope that makes sense. So, and that's also the reason it feels important to say here that sometimes when we're doing this work, sometimes you might have little snippets of time where you feel a little bit worse before you feel better, and that's just part of the process. That's really normal because we are sort of uprooting some of those old patterns, and then as we get to know them a little bit better we can rework our relationship with them and gain some capacity to not be as reactive. The gift of this process is that again, we become more of ourselves. So instead of leaving parts behind, we have a sense of being more whole and integrated. And that really ripples out into all aspects of our life. It ripples out into our work, into our parenting, our relationships with our partners, colleagues at work, friends. It ripples out to all aspects. So again, if releasing feels like the right word for you, great. It's not wrong. Um, but I like to talk about updating the memory imprint or an exploration that helps us to have more conscious awareness and choice over our behaviors, slowing things down, just being able to make more deliberate, intentional decisions about how we're going to conduct ourselves. So I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, pop them in down below. As always, thank you for listening. I'm glad you're here.